direct from outer space. It's Mary Farfisa's Outer Space Radio Theater.
What song does a star sing when it's all by itself? What sound does a comet make when it's flying around? And did you know that the sun enjoys playing the drums? And did you know that the moon has a favorite tune? Well, you might think that outer space is a quiet place, but there's a melody in all that astronomy. Well, I roam through galaxies looking for sounds that interest me. There's too many to mention if I just pay attention. Songs and sounds, music and noise can be as much fun as a box full of toys. Songs and sounds, music and noise, I'll catch them all with my lasso and bring them to you. I'm Mary Farfisa.
Time for school! Time for school! Mrs. Menlo's class is about to begin. Do you see Mrs. Menlo and all the children gathered around her on the sea of information? This is where Mary Farfisa goes to school. And I'll bet you've never seen a classroom quite like this. There are students from all over the galaxy in Mrs. Menlo's class. There they are, sitting on their floating school desks, riding the waves on the sea of information. Of course, we've already met Mary Farfisa.
Hi!
She's from Derbyshire, the moon of Radiophonica. And there's Crystal and Chip. They're from the planet Gallium. All the people there are made of multicolored crystals. They're brother and sister, and they look like they're made of shiny stones. And that little head sticking out of the water with the thick green hair is Chiani. She's a mermaid from Aquavia, the water planet. Mary Farfisa has been going to school for a whole week now, and all of the kids in the class are starting to get to know each other. But today, Mrs. Menlo, who, by the way, is a beautiful blue whale with blue hair and big red glasses, has a special announcement to make.
Children, I have exciting news.
What is it, Mrs. Menlo?
Today, a new student is joining our class. She should be arriving any Mickey dot now. If you look up in the sky, you'll see her door.
So all the children looked up to the blue sky, and sure enough, there was a new door there, along with all the others. But when they saw the new door, they were surprised, because they had never seen a door quite like this one. It was an oozy, drippy, gooey sort of door. It looked a little like an old sliced mushroom covered in gloppy green gravy.
What kind of door is that?
It looks like it's made of mud, green mud.
It looks all slimy and wet.
Ick. It's dripping stuff down into the water,
said Chiani the mermaid.
No, children. It's a perfectly fine door, and on its home planet, it is considered quite a handsome door indeed.
But it looks like it's made of frog juice.
That's a very colorful analogy, Chip, but the door is not made of frog juice.
but it's dripping globs of that gloopy stuff into the sea of information.
The sea of information is always open to new things, and so should you be. That gloopy stuff is called sludge. There's a lot of sludge on the planet our new student is from. In fact, the people there are made of it.
They're made out of sludge?
That's right. Our new student is a sludge mudgeon from the planet Slugmush. Her name is Merkle, and we're very lucky to have her join us. You see, the sludge mudgeons don't often mix with people from other planets. They usually stick to themselves.
They sound like they'd stick to anything.
I hope all of you children will remember that we're all a little different in this class, and that's a good thing. Anytime we meet someone who's different than us, it's a chance to learn something new. Isn't that right?
Yes, Mrs. Menlo.
Right, Chip?
Why do I get singled out?
It was then that the gloppy green door above the classroom started to quiver and shake a little, and a new batch of gooey sludge drops fell down and into the sea, much to the mermaid's displeasure.
Eck.
But before she could complain, the door slid open, and an unusual little girl stepped through it. And of course, like every other student, after stepping through their door, she fell straight into the sea. The children watched as a small green shape floated back up to the surface of the sea of information, leaving a greenish trail behind it as it swam. A head popped up above the water, right next to Chiani the mermaid.
Oh.
Hi, I'm Merkle.
Mrs. Menlo, she's making the water turn green.
That's quite all right, Chiani. Why don't you show Merkle to her floating desk?
Okay.
So Chiani the mermaid swam, reluctantly, next to the new girl and showed her where her desk was. Merkle pulled herself up onto the raft that her desk sat on, and the kids got their first good look at her.
She looks like a frog,
Be quiet, Chip. You look like a paperweight.
but she's all gooey and sludgy.
Children, this is Merkle from Slugmush, our new classmate.
Merkle was a small girl with big red rims around her eyes, which were blinking very fast as she looked timidly around her at the other kids. She wore a roughly pink dress, tied at the waist with pink ribbons.
What's wrong with her eyes? Why is she blinking like that?
Merkle comes from a world that is not so brightly lit as the sea of information. Their sun is very small and far away from their planet, so her eyes are just getting used to how bright it is here. Isn't that right, Merkle?
Yes, Mrs. Menlo.
Well, we're very pleased to have you join us, Merkle, and we all look forward to getting to know you better. Isn't that right, children?
Yes, Mrs. Menlo.
I'm very pleased to be here, and I look forward to getting to know all of you better too.
Wonderful. Now, let's begin today's lessons, shall we?
Later in the school day,
Mrs. Menlo, my computer screen isn't working.
Oh dear. We'll have to call the Geek Squid to fix it. In the meantime, Mary, would you mind sharing a desk with Merkle? Her raft is right next to yours.
Share a desk? With Merkle?
Yes.
Okay.
Mary Farfisa was a little reluctant to share a desk with Merkel. Her desk was already dripping with green sludge, and her chair was all gooey and gloppy as well.
Mary's gonna get frog juice on her white dress.
Shh! Chip, be quiet!
But Mary hopped the short distance between her raft and Merkel's and sat down on the little bench behind Merkel's desk.
Hi, Mary.
Hi!
Don't worry about your dress. Residual sludge washes right off.
Okay.
All right then, children. It's time for us to study some cosmic geography.
Later on, all the children drove their school desks to Recess Island. The raft that Mary's school desk sat on was still operational, so she rode her own desk. Crystal and Chip talked to her as they skimmed over the waves.
So, what's the new kid like?
Yeah, did you have a nice squishy time?
Chip, don't be mean.
Merkel's really very nice.
Wasn't it hard to sit on the bench without sliding off? Schloop.
Chip!
No, it wasn't hard at all. In fact, it was easier than sitting next to you because she doesn't make wisecracks while Mrs. Menlo is talking.
Humor is part of my charm.
Except you're not funny.
Soon they were at Recess Island. It was full of palm trees and beautiful flowers, and warm rocks for the children to sit on while they ate lunch. Above them in the trees, monkeys chattered and swung from branches. Crystal, Chip, and Mary found a place to sit and eat.
I wonder if there's any pirates on Recess Island.
Don't be silly.
What do you call a pirate who skips class?
I don't know. What?
Captain Hooky.
Don't encourage him.
Hey, do you see Merkel? Where is she sitting?
Mary, Crystal, and Chip were sitting at the edge of the water. Johnny the mermaid's head popped up, and she said,
She's sitting by herself over there by that tree. Don't call her over. She's got her feet in the water and she's making it all sludgy.
Ew.
But she can't sit there all alone. I won't call her over here, but I'm going to go sit by her.
and that's exactly what Mary did. Poor Merkel. She was sitting all alone, and even the monkeys seemed to be avoiding her. She looked up and smiled when she saw Mary approaching. She was eating a slimy little sandwich and drinking from a little bottle of green soda muck. Her eyes had gotten used to the light now, so she wasn't blinking anymore. Merkel's big, red-rimmed, round eyes did make her look a little like a frog, but when she smiled the way she was smiling now, she actually looked kind of cute.
Hi, Merkel.
Hi. Recess Island is so pretty.
It sure is.
I'm eating lunch.
I see.
Would you like to share?
And Merkel held out half of her slimy little sandwich.
No thanks. I already ate my lunch, so I'm full. Briscoe packed all sorts of good things for me to eat today.
Who's Briscoe?
He's a space horse. We're friends, and we travel all over the universe, collecting songs and sounds and music and noise to give to the listeners' library.
I've heard of the listeners' library. You can borrow songs from just about any of the planets.
That's right.
And you're friends with a space horse. That's cool. But how do you catch sounds?
I'll show you. See this rope?
Mary pulled out the audio lasso she keeps in the pocket of her white dress, just in case she needs it.
This is my audio lasso. It works just like the lassos that cowboys use. See, you spin the loopy part above your head like this.
Uh-huh.
Then, when you see something you want to catch, you throw it.
Mary let the audio lasso sail towards a little flubber monkey that was sitting in a tree not far away. The lasso grabbed the flubber monkey, and then Mary yanked the rope back. The flubber monkey sailed back towards her and Merkel and landed right in Mary's lap.
That's cool.
I'm afraid the flubber monkey didn't care for that demonstration very much. I'm sorry, flubber monkey. I won't do it again.
How did you learn to do that?
My friend Orbit Annie taught me. She's the greatest space cowgirl in the universe. You should see the tricks she can do with her lasso.
You have so many friends, Mary.
Yes, I'm really lucky. What about you, Merkel? Don't you have friends back on Slugmush?
No, not really. It's hard for us sludge mudgeons to make friends with each other. Friendship is sort of a new idea where I come from. We're still getting used to the idea.
Oh.
But I live with my grandma Oz, and I have a sludge worm named Blort.
That's nice. What do sludge mudgeons do on Slugmush for fun?
Well, we sludge mudgeons aren't much fun, but I do like to do jigsaw puzzles.
Oh,
That probably doesn't sound like much fun to you with all the friends you have and all the adventures you must have with your space horse.
no, I love doing jigsaw puzzles.
Oh, you do? Hey, I got an idea.
It's the school bell. Recess is over. We have to go back. But what's your idea?
I'll tell you later. We'd better go.
Finally, the school day came to an end. Mary got ready to return to her own raft to get her things to go back home with. Mrs. Menlo was adjusting the gravity above the classroom so the kids could all float back up to their doors.
Merkel, you said you had an idea while we were back on Recess Island.
Oh, yeah,
What's the idea, Merkel? Don't be shy.
Well, I was just wondering if maybe you'd like to come home with me for a while. We could do a jigsaw puzzle.
Go back to Slugmush with you?
I know you probably don't want to, with all the muck and the sludge and everything. Never mind.
No, I'd love to go to your house to do a puzzle.
Really?
Really? Just let me call Briscoe on my helmet radio to let him know I'll be late. He says he doesn't worry about me, but he does.
So Mary called Briscoe and told him she'd be late. Then they told Mrs. Menlo their plan, and she agreed that their doors would wait for them in the classroom, so Mary could go home when she got back from Merkel's house.
There's just one thing, Mary, and it's very important. You have to leave Slugmush before nightfall. As soon as the sun starts to go down, you have to leave.
Well, okay. I can do that.
We can't forget, all right? When the sun starts going down, you have to go home.
Sure, Merkel. No problem. I won't forget.
So Mary and Merkel floated up in the sky to the floppy, sludgy, gloopy, droopy door that led to Merkel's home. The door went when Merkel pushed on it, but it opened, and Mary followed Merkel through. Merkel hadn't been kidding when she said her world was a gloomy sort of place. The door was set up in a muddy yard in front of a gray, barrel-shaped house. There was a stone path that led to its front door, but the stones were half sunk in the glop. Above them, the sky was murky and brown.
Well, welcome to Slugmush, Mary. This is my house. You've come on a good day. Look how bright the sun is today. It's usually much darker.
Mary looked at the dimly shining sun of Slugmush. Its weak light fell on the other barrel-shaped houses that Mary could see in the distance.
I love our sun, Mary. It shines every day on us sludge mudgeons, reminding us not to be sad and not to be hopeless and not to be angry. It reminds us to keep trying and to be everything we can be, even though it's a struggle.
That's a nice thought, Merkle.
But the sun has a big job to do with us sludge mudgeons. We're a gloomy bunch, and it's hard to make us see things differently. That's why I'm glad that the sun has helpers.
Helpers? What kind of helpers does the sun have? Who could help the sun?
Oh, I'm just talking silly, I guess. Oh, look, there's Grandma Ooze.
Mary saw a sludgy, bent little lady walking slowly through the mud. Her head was very big, and her body was very small. She had red-rimmed eyes like Merkle, but her eyes were tiny. She wore a big, flat, round hat on her head. She saw Merkle and Mary and started toward them.
Merkle, you've brought a friend home from school.
Grandma Ooze, this is Mary Farfisa.
Hello, Mary Farfisa.
Pleased to meet you, Grandma Ooze.
I'm pleased to meet you. I wouldn't have dreamed that Merkle would have a friend on the very first day of school. Most people from other planets are a little uncomfortable around us. You're a very special little girl.
I'm not special. I just want to get to know Merkle.
How wonderful. What do you think of my garden, Mary Farfisa?
Your garden?
Yes, this is my garden. Oh, it may not look like much to the untrained eye, but I'm expecting quite a harvest. Once these vegetables take hold, it's hard because these seeds tend to sink way down in the gloop, and there's not much sunlight on Slugmush. But I've been sharpening my gardening skills, and I know that eventually something is going to start to grow.
When did you start your garden, Grandma Ooze?
When I was a little girl.
Grandma Ooze is very patient, Mary.
That's right. What's life without hope?
Merkle led Mary through the squishy, swampy front yard toward the house. Mary noticed there were faucets next to the front door.
What are those faucets for, Merkle?
Those faucets are where we come out of the house. We only have the front door in case we have visitors who aren't sludge mudgeons.
You leave your house through faucets? That's cool.
Oh. Yeah, I guess it's cool. Come on in. Come on, Mary. My room's upstairs.
So they went up a gloomy, narrow stairway, then up to the very top room of the house, which belonged to Merkle. The steps were slippery, and the little windows at the top of each set of stairs were smudgy and hard to see through. But aside from a generous coating of residual sludge on things, it was a lot like other houses that Mary had been to.
Here's where I keep my puzzles. Let's pick one.
Okay.
Watch your step, Mary.
I think I stepped in something.
That's Blort.
Oh no! I squished your sludge worm.
He's okay. He gets squished all the time. See, he's fine. Look, he likes you. But if he gets too pesky, just squish him again.
Mary and Merkel chose a puzzle to work on, and soon they were lost in thought, putting it together. The two girls got very involved in their jigsaw puzzle. They became so involved that they didn't notice how much time was passing and how dark it was starting to get outside. Until finally, Mary said,
Hey, Merkel, can we turn the lamp on? It's getting hard to see the pieces.
Oh, okay, sure. Oh gosh, look outside. The sun's almost down.
Oops! I was having such a good time with the puzzle. I forgot to watch out for that.
Me too. Oh, this is terrible. This is bad.
It's okay, Merkel. I'll just go home now. All we have to do is go down to your front yard to get to the school door.
Oh, I hope it's not too late for that.
Merkel, what do you mean?
No, look outside, Mary. The Merc Moon's coming up. Oh no, there's no time to get you back before the Merc Moon comes up.
The Merc Moon?
Yes, the Merc Moon. When it comes up in the sky at night, we all change.
Change how?
For worse. You see, Mary, my people have a hard time seeing good in things, and it's hard for us to hope and to love and not to be angry. We want to change, but it's very difficult. We want to be more than just sludge, all muddy and miserable and unable to be around people from other planets like you.
Well, that's great, Merkel. But why is it so bad if I'm here when the Merc Moon comes up?
When the Merc Moon comes up, it does something to us. No matter how hopeful and positive and civilized we can be during the day, when the Merc Moon comes up, we get as bad as we can get.
Oh no!
Looking out of Merkel's window, Mary saw that the sun had almost set, and that a dark red moon had taken its place in the sky. She saw streams of sludge pouring out of the faucets of the barrel-shaped houses and flowing into the streets. Merkel looked out too.
It's already started. All those sludge mudgeons are pouring out of their houses, and they're sad and angry and hopeless.
They're flowing together into a big river of sludge.
Yes, and if that sludge river gets between us and the door back to school, we'll never get past it.
Let's hurry then, Merkel. Maybe we can get to the door before the sludge river gets here.
Outside, the sludge was moving fast, making all sorts of sad, hopeless, and angry noises as it flowed from the houses.
Oh, we're too late. They're sludging out fast.
Uh-oh.
If we get stuck in them, they'll sweep us up and carry us away in the muck. And when you get sucked up in the sludge, you become just as sad and hopeless and angry as it is.
We have to find a way to get past them. Hey, Merkel, how come you're not affected by the Merc Moon?
Well, I may have to show you why not, Mary.
Merkel reached under her bed and took out a long wooden box. When she opened the box, a bright golden light filled the room. Merkel reached in and took out a beautiful golden wand with a diamond at the end of it. There were sculpted golden sunbeams all around the diamond.
What is that, Merkel?
This is something very special, Mary. This is the wand of the Solar Sailors.
What's a solar sailor?
The Solar Sailors are girls of my generation who have been chosen by the sun to spread positivity and light all over Slugmush. We are the opponents of the Merc Moon that makes our people so negative and gloomy and hopeless. We sail a sea of sludgy sadness, spreading shiny serenity of the sun.
Cool!
You haven't seen the coolest part yet, Mary.
Merkel waved the wand above her head, and a flurry of wind started blowing in the little room. The diamond on the wand got brighter and brighter. Then, Merkel's feet lifted right off the floor, and she started to spin in the air.
Solar, starry, sunshine, May.
and then the room was filled with swirling sparkles. Merkle looked like she was covered in a cloud of stardust as she spun. And then the stars flew off in all directions, and Merkle's dress was covered in diamonds, and the ribbons she wore around her waist were doing gravity-defying twists and turns in the air. Merkle had a little tiara on now that was shaped like a radiant sun. And Merkle, well, she still looked like Merkle, all green and gooey and a little like a frog. But her eyes were clear and confident, and Mary thought she looked beautiful.
I am Sailor Sun Slime.
What'll we do?
We have to get you to the door before the sludge engulfs us all.
So Mary and Merkle, Sailor Sun Slime that is, ran down the stairs and out the front door. But they had to stop in their tracks, for Grandma Ooze had become a big swamp of sludge in the front yard, and the Merkle Moon was high in the sky above her. Mary could only tell that the swampy muck was Grandma Ooze by the big round hat that was floating on its surface.
Oh no! Grandma Ooze has sludged out too!
And to make matters worse, the sludge stream from the other houses had almost reached Merkle's house too.
Grandma Ooze, please let us go by. Mary Farfisa has to go home now.
I'm so sorry. I'd like to help, but it's too late now. The Merk Moon's up. I'll never be able to pull myself together before morning.
Please, Grandma Ooze, can't you try?
Sorry, it's hopeless. Pulling myself together now is as hopeless as this old garden of mine. What's the use in trying?
But, Grandma Ooze...
We don't have time to plead with her, Mary. The sludge river is heading this way.
Sailor Sun Slime lifted her wand high above her head.
Sludge, sparkle, magic, go!
Rays of sunlight shot straight out of the wand and zapped Grandma Ooze. And in the wink of an eye, Grandma Ooze oozed back into her normal, friendly, hopeful self.
That feels better. I guess things weren't as hopeless as I thought.
Right, Grandma Ooze. But Mary, the sludge is still rising. You have to get through that door.
So the two girls ran across the muddy yard to the door.
Made it. Thanks for coming to Slugmush, Mary. Sorry it got so crazy at the end.
No, thank you, Merkle. Sailor Sun Slime. It was fun.
It was, wasn't it?
Are you going to be okay here? With the sludge river and all, I mean?
Sure, it's like this here every time the Merk Moon comes up. But in time, if me and the other solar sailors keep up at our work, maybe it won't be like this by the time we grow up.
I hope so. Well, see you tomorrow at school.
Mary pushed her way through the floppy, gloppy door, and then...
Hey! Mrs. Menlo didn't leave the gravity above the sea of information lowered for me.
Sorry, that was me. I turned it off.
It was the geek squid who'd come to fix the computer on Mary's school desk.
Do you want me to turn it back on so you can float up to your door?
No thanks,
said Mary, who was actually glad to wash up after her sludgy adventure on the planet Slugmush.
I'll just lasso the doorknob and shinny up the rope to my door.
And Mary lassoed the doorknob and did exactly that. And a moment later she was home in her inflatable house that was floating in space.
Today's slippery episode of Mary Farfisa's Outer Space Radio Theater featured April Stalder as both Merkle the Sludge Mudgeon and Sailor Sun Slime. Oh, and by the way, April played Chip, too. Our story was called Sludge, Sparkle, Magic, Go, and it was written and produced by Jim Sheff. Mary Farfisa was played by April Stalder. No, of course not. Mary Farfisa was played by Kara Albach, as always. Nancy Andrews was our narrator. Leslie Baker surfaced as Mrs. Menlo, the teaching whale. Kat Black played Grandma Ooze. Anna Shockey played the role of Crystal.
Mary Farfisa and today's Mary Farfisa's Outer Space Radio Theater Adventure are copyright 2017 by Jim Sheff, all rights reserved.